So, yes, I was just literally recording something. Literally putting the Star Trek thing in. So, next is... this is basically... behind the scenes post-loop thing. Well, we can't have a rap party with one guy doing most of all the voices. It's kind of silly. Have a rap party, Alt Transformers MUSH. I'll have Kelly or others show up at other rap stuff. They'll do a blog. I'll do one here, and then other ones will pop in. It won't be all. It'll be all separate. But yeah, we completed Alt Transformers MUSH. About 18 episodes of the series between February roughly and November. 7 months of the series, and did homage to all of the writers from that storyline on there. They weren't showrunners; they were writers. As a writer, and that's done many books and things. We had the works of Ivy Bonley and Rob Powers, Rob Jung, Gabriel Kwan, Bobby Crothers, Jiminy Christmas. I don't even know if that's a real person. Belinda Kelly and many more. We don't know them, but they were on the thing years ago. On the bulletin board, the Transformers bulletin boards, which were the early internet, where you could go. Different university sites had them. Go to them. Many of them were from England and Australia, so they were an interesting take on them. A lot of these stories were in that from the UK and other places. And the Canadian one. So it was interesting that we got to. It was cool to translate. Well, it is English still, but it was cool to translate the what they thought of Transformers, because unlike if you get American fanfic writers tend to just copy, everything and every joke and every gag from American fanfic, whereas in this case, we didn't do that. They would copy the UK stuff, and since we don't know much about the UK stuff, that worked, because they might have been putting cliches everywhere when we wouldn't have gotten it. So, in the end, we are having completed the season. So we could greenlight a season 2, but it would be we wouldn't know. It wouldn't be a full season 2, because there's a lot of short stories that are left. That would be only 2 chapters here. We did do something with short stories already. The one that became the Wrath of the Overlords was actually 4 short stories that we stuck together. So we could do something like that again. We could take some short stories, stick them together, maybe 1 hour movie them, and maybe 2 or 3 of them, and that would just be the rest of the remaining stories in the MUSH. And although the fan favorite angst one is Thunder Bitch, we're not going to do that one. We would get in so much trouble if we did that one. We're not doing that one. Sorry. But there are some oddities. Also, it's fun that there weren't any humans, and there was very little transforming, mainly because we couldn't do that. We still have G.I. Joes that we could have be the humans, but it would have been more ambitious and harder than just putting the Transformers in the right scale. As you could tell with the Power of the Prime's Dinobots, they were all small, for one thing. Just as production was filming on, in the middle of production on the last one, the finale, they introduced a Siege level, Transformer level Grimlock, who's actually taller, of course. It was going to be taller, so he's going to be about Dinobot sized. Not really tall, though. I mean, it should be really, really tall. But, you know, leader, what they call Voyager class now. Should be leader class, though. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, because the siege line is basically the Voyagers and the leaders are the same size, and they're small. It's like, it doesn't make sense. But there's a cool new G2 Megatron that's available on Amazon Select as well. So actually kind of looks better than the one from the other one. So it isn't that there isn't Transformers currently going on. It's not that there's another Dark Ages of Transformers. It is in the sense that there's no TV show on, just the toys. And I guess you count the Netflix show, which is intermittent. You have to watch the whole serial. I've only in the part 1 so far. And it doesn't have the blessing of Peter Cullen, and neither do the games. But yeah, that was not Peter Cullen. Or Frank Welker. Yeah. Yeah, it's been yeah, it was fun doing it, and we want to do more, but we don't want to do dumb. We don't want to. And their Q&A stuff that we brought up before included, okay, well, what about the Adabacon stories? What about those? Where are they at? Heart of Thing, the other stuff. But more of those. Could we see the original Trans and Trans 2, basically, is what they want. Well, we can't air the original Trans and Trans 2. We just can't. Because they're incoherent, for one thing. And what we could do with Trans 2, we're constantly using music that would be copyrighted. Can't show that. Even Burn Prime, we changed all the music and the dialogue out of it. So you can just see the footage. We could do that, we could redub it, but why would we bother redubbing it? So what we did is we created something called Transformers Meets Robotech. We did that between 2002, well, roughly 2001. 2001, yeah, around September. And 2009. We filmed like the 3-part miniseries, 24 episodes, and we finished it. Back in 2010, posted it on YouTube in 2012, 2013, and then 2014. The Starcrackers in 2012 as well on our channel. This channel. So Trans Tech is basically a complete form rewrite of Trans. It includes all the Trans stories, including the earliest ones by the David nephew and the Dan nephew, the other nephews. They're all in there. So they're in the story. They're in Trans Tech. Just go watch Trans Tech. Even the Beast Wars ones are in there. Even an early version of Underground is in there. Believe it or not. And an early version of Redemption kind of is in there. Or at least the end result of Redemption, with Predaking having eaten the Skylings. He doesn't have this version. Also, we were also doing this story, thought that because it didn't have an ending, was that the intent, or wasn't that the intent? Anyway, it wasn't the intent, but this story was written as like a love letter to her friend, her best friend. And it turns out that her best friend didn't appreciate it as much as she thought it would. But they kept it up there anyway. We don't know for sure if the friend was freaked out or if the friend was closeted, but I'm guessing he was both. And just guessing. And that he was like, he's like, honey, I'm gay. And she probably like, oh, I bet that's what happened. I bet that's what happened. So she said, I didn't realize it. You know, this guy probably had great fashion sense. He's probably very understanding and caring and super, super nice. Turned out, because he was like you, he was like you. So what? You know? Oh well. Anyway, so we don't know that for sure. But yeah, this redemption story. So I like that the Alt Transformers MUSH was able to explore the gender politics of Transformers and not be transphobic, because how could it be? They're Transformers. Their DNA is transforming into something else. So, it can't be transphobic. They're literally trans. So But yes, LGBT-friendly formers. But yeah, there was this hilarious. Well, you'll see the movie, of course, tonight. But it's downloaded. Go watch it. But the hilarity ensues there as well. Yeah. Okay. The okay. The there are no other Robotech ones that were the remaining dozen or so stories. There's a lot of bits and pieces of stories. There's one set in the distant future with Daniel as an adult. There's the Star Trek Transformers one. There's two of those. We can't really do that. We could do something like that, but not Star Trek. But changing that would just change it too much, I think. Also, there's a Lord of the Flies meets Transformers, which is just Lord of the Flies with Transformers. It's literally what it's called it. So no, we're not going to do that. Yeah. So, and a couple of the people were kicked off TF boards later. But so that was much later, like 10 years later. So it's this is a story where we separate the author from his work and say like, oh well, okay, this one or two guys was kicked off, but the story's cool, so we're gonna film it. But yeah, so the guy that wrote Thunder Bitch was kicked off. Yeah, yes, he was. But yeah, the boards fell apart, and then they went on and did other things. Okay, I'm gonna mention shout outs and stuff. Somebody asked, well, where are they now? Where are some of them now? Well, I don't know about all the authors, but I do know that Rob Powers has a website. Go check out his Rob's Pile of Transformers, and he's still got a lot of his stuff on there. And there are a dozen of his short stories lying around. So maybe we could do one. Maybe. We'll see. Also, Chris Meadows wrote another one for Beast Wars. Rob Jung wrote a lot of Beast Wars. So we'll see if there's others out there. I don't know how we would do Beast Wars, though, because a lot of our Beast Wars figures didn't last. They have started a whole new line of them, but I don't know how it'll last. I don't want to spend another $1,000 on toys to find out. But yeah, I doubt they'll bring them all out anyway. It's called Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom. Same with that one. Check it out. They will be producing a Maxis Cara. Excellent. Let you know about that. Hasbro. Yes. Awesome. He'll probably be called something else, but he's Maxis Cara. Excellent. And the Draconus Prime. Of course. There will be one. Draconus Prime. Awesome. Maybe. But they'll call him something else. Be a dragon or something. And the bait and switch, of course, is that they do not evolve into Beast Wars Megatron and Beast Wars Primal, respectively, but rather are someone else in that echelon eventually. It's revealed that in this episode that Rakshi is actually the ancestor of Beast Wars Megatron, not those other two people, which is hilarious. When she's like, yes, wait a second, that's Beast Wars, which is hilarious because it ties in to Beast Wars, because Raksha is actually, if she's Beast Wars Megatron in the future, when the royalty ant thought that she was the queen, and called Megatron his queen because he was an ant, the royalty, the queen, yes, my queen, faulty programming. What it was that he could tell that she used to be Rakshi. See, he knew. He could see the spark. He's like, oh, that was a girl. He was a female transformer. Originally, now he's a guy. Oh, he's transgendered more than meets the eye. Okay. And then we have, I'm not going to give away everything. No, I'm not giving away anything, really. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying stuff that could happen, not the stuff that will happen. We don't want to push it ahead and then not do something and then promise something that doesn't happen. So we have some stories left. We could do something. Yeah, so, but not any of the early Kal Kat stories. But not in any of the early Kal Kat stories. Right. So it yeah, because we've already done them. It's Transtech, and also we sprinkled in the corrosion in this whole series, mainly corrosion and trans and many of these other ones. We sprinkled in some callbacks to that, to the Space Bridge saga, to the other stuff that we did. Space Bridge was essentially a rewrite of Trans 2, so there you go. It's pretty much Trans 2. Space Bridge was Trans 2. And done Space Bridge and the Children of the Shadow, Return of the Children, that was Trans 2. Transtech 2 or Trans 2. So we've already done it. And now we did a third series, the Alt Transformers MUSH. And yeah, awesome. We're still in quarantine, so that means we have nothing better to do to come up with some sequels. Oh no, in 2021. So yeah, we come up with some. Never ends. It never ends. But yes, we'll see. These were the best stories, so they would require extensive rewrite post to even work. But some of them could. Sure. But not Do You Remember Love, not Macross 2, not Macross 7. We already did kind of an homage to Macross 7 already. In Children of the Shadow Part 2, The Shadow's Return. Because Tommy Yoon was never going to do it, so we did it. So Children of the Shadow and Shadow's Return is the answer to the Tommy Yoon stuff. And End of the Circle is an answer to that too. End of the Circle, Space Bridge, Shadow's Return, and Shadow Children and Shadow's Return. So all those are an answer to that too. But actually pulled back to the Jack McKinney timeline a little bit. It's all a multiverse. We made a Transformers multiverse Marvel epic out of Transformers. A fan fiction series where at no point do they actually transform. But it's a soap opera in space. That's essentially the elements of that. Even more so in the finale. Yeah, the snap-witty dialogue and all that stuff. Yeah. Kevin Smith will love it. Yeah. Out of all the episodes this season, there's been some favorites. Other ones, just it's all generally good. I think this finale is the coolest ever because you have opportunity to put all that together and finally find out what happens. And unlike television finales where the show runs out of steam and they go like, oh, they're just not going to solve the X-Files ending. They'll just like talk to the X-Files ending. I made fun of that here because Ivy only was fun of talking. The premise of her story, basically, this Underground and Redemption are kind of all in the same series. That's what she said in an interview on Lexicon. They're kind of all the same series. So I filmed it like that. Redemption is sort of a preamble to... Redemption is sort of a sequel to Underground. But like Underground is just the big epic version of that previous episode. That would have been a 2-part episode on Transformers. This is like the epic like 5-part miniseries finale thing that she strung together and made it all, and so that's what she was getting at. She was also getting at, I didn't really tend to end it, but I did, a friend left, and her friend left, yeah, we can tell. It's all right though. Anyway, maybe he ended up being awesome. But were there any round robin? Were there any people left over from the MUSH? Yeah, there were. Radio Free Cybertron. It's directly from the MUSH. Tformers.com, directly from the MUSH. Cybertron with an S is from that. There's a lot of stuff that descended from. So you can check that out. They're still around. A TF 2005 website is also from them. And they actually posted the full text, as much as they could at least, of the infamous Transformers manual from the original G1, which I have seen, which I have a copy of somewhere in storage and can't find. The actual printout of it. It's there somewhere, just can't find it. Of course I can't find it. Of course it got lost somewhere. But yeah, it had designs and diagrams and things, which you can see on TF 2005 as well. They showed pictures from it. It's one of Devastator and some of the Stunticons, Optimus Prime and Megatron, some of the mini-bots, some of the other ones, designs. Kind of cool. Yeah, so, and then what they had, their little bios and all that stuff. And all the writers and producers of that story. And also for the Marvel comics, they had to add that in there. It was a Marvel property, actually, back then. Sunbow Marvel, for Hasbro, back then. Ooh, did you know that? Yeah, it was Marvel. So, so there's this weird connection. It's always been there. Now, Mark's Cards is more Disney Marvel, and then when they merged, they just sort of... Yeah, and we were a little bit of Paramount, too, back in the day. So I had, like, this... It's weird, because when the new Star Wars movies started, it's like we switched with the Boyd side over there. They went to Star Trek, and we went to Marvel. What? Oh, yeah. And then we didn't anymore when the pandemic started. We'll see, but it's yeah. So yeah, there was like this other different sides of the Cillian people that went on to do other things, but people that weren't Cillian at all. Mgo Gomez, Mgo the freaking geek, is one of the people from the boards. He does reviews of Transformers. Thew's awesome Transformer reviews popped up. He's like, oh, I used to be on there. He's like, oh, okay, you're one of them, yeah. Oh yeah, and then there was Thew. He does Transformer reviews. He said, oh, Edamacron, wow, okay. So Kal Kat is that okay? Yeah. What's all these different handles for anyway? Anyway, so yeah, yeah, and Mgo made a version of the Genesis Fading Memories story and the Dinobot story from the Wrath story, and the other Wrath story, the second one, the Andraxis stories. He made a version of the Andraxis stories with the evil Dinobot for his 300,000 subscriber episode. Mgo did. He made a version of Andraxis. There's a version of Redemption and a version of Underground, but those are shorter and closer to just individual episodes. Mine are full-on movies where I cut the whole script is in there, so it's much more accurate to what the story was going to be. And also, but yeah, there's a number of others. Oh, a Primal, Rodimus Primal is another one in New Jersey. Also another one for the boards. So I'm like, oh yeah. There's also a few others. I think Quan might be around too. I think he does the other ones with the. And Shartimus Prime is another one. There's a bunch of people out there. So there's a bunch of them out there. Yeah, so I don't know if they wrote any of these old Mush stories, but maybe under their old pseudonyms. It'd be kind of cool to find one, wouldn't it? Oh yeah, so they're out there. Some of them are out there. Belinda Kelly is still around. She's out there. But not doing that anymore. Whoever was running Lexicon is still out there. It's not Powers. I think it might be Kelly. But not Kelly Books. No. Anyway, so that is my take on the final episode. And then before I go, let it be known that the scene that I almost gave away in the making of with the guy, one of the bad guys that's supposed to be wiped out in the end of the story, and we forgot. And I almost gave it away in the making of. If you watch, get all the way to the end of the making of video, and you're like, okay, where's the outtake where the bad guy takes himself out? It's like, that's not an outtake. That's in the movie. So one of the bad guys, yeah, yeah, that's not an outtake. I shouldn't have given it away. It was basically the Mark's Cards very special Mary-Kate Ashley Deep Space Nine ending joke. He's basically like, damn it, I can't take any more of this smarminess. No. and he just takes himself out with his own blaster. He just can't take it anymore. Oh. So you'll see the movie. It's not the main bad guy. It's one of the bad guys. I'm assuming that they could put his head back on. He's a robot, but he could put his head back on. Yes. So that's it. Was it evening? Was it gloriousness? This is a behind the scenes, I guess. Alt Transformers MUSH is not going away. No way to at least squeeze one more episode out, as in the season 2 kind of mode. I would think movies would make sense. Like every couple of months, I'd be like, "Oh, there's a new one! Wow!" You know, they don't need to do it every week. But it's a little nuts doing it every 10 days and doing it on the Next Generation schedule. Star Trek Next Generation took 10 days to make an episode. That's a little nuts. Yeah. But yeah. So this is my little review. Think behind the scenes.